Man, what an adventure it was to go up the hill with those boys. What a progression it was. It was clear from the get-go that they were going to set a very leisurely pace up the mountain, and I was totally chill with that, totally down to join in with them and go as they went, up until we started getting close to the summit and the weather started deteriorating, because the boys, they were going pretty slow, and as we started getting higher up the mountain and it started getting steeper, they started going really slow.
The rain and clouds have started to really set in and the boys have just almost stopped moving.
Like, I'm talking, we would walk for maybe a minute and then they would want to rest for 2 or 3. And as the weather started deteriorating, I just saw this as untenable to get to the summit in any reasonable amount of time or at all. It started getting wet, it started getting cold, it started getting miserable, and I was just thinking in my head about Mount Sundoro, where the conditions just got worse and worse and worse. And I'm thinking to myself, man, these boys are not moving at a pace that is going to get up to the summit. And I realized that no one was really encouraging each other, despite feeling tired and, the conditions not being so nice and there being plenty more of hiking to do. No one was on that like, come on boys, we got this. And so I thought, all right, I'll do that. I'll lead from the front. I'll show a bit of strength here and set a bit of a higher pace and call back at him and try and rally the troops. And
that's the stuff, boys. Slowly, slowly. Nearly there, boys.
You know what? It didn't really work. As soon as I started pushing from the front, I got a call back from some of the dudes being like, yo, we're tired, man. We need to sleep. We're going to go back down the mountain and sleep.
So it was Bintan who was getting tired earlier. Thankfully, he's not cold. He's just tired and doesn't want to go up anymore. So he's headed back down to one of the shelters to sleep and rest.
I'm just thinking to myself like, yo, what? Like, these guys ain't going to make it. Like, that ain't it. That ain't the mentality that's going to get you to the top of this damn mountain. Like, those 3, they ain't going to make it. And I began to think to myself like, man, what are these guys made of? Like, these guys are made of milk, yo. Like, come on, boys. Dig a little deep. Let's fucking do this. Where's the spirit? Where's the fucking balls? Like, come on. And so I kept going up the mountain with these 2 fellas, and they were going slow as well. And, I'm calling back. I'm like, come on, boys.
Come on, bro. Nearly there, brother.
One of them would stop every few steps and put his hands on his hips, and I'd call back and say, like, you've got this, mate. Like, strong, like, strong spirit, strong mind. Like, you've got this.
You got it, bro. You got it. Strong spirit.
And he would keep walking, and it kind of worked for a little while, and then it stopped working. And coincidentally, it stopped working when we were in the midst of this massive volcanic cloud, all of these gases that were getting blown out of the crater by these really intense winds.
Fuck, I don't know about this. This is fucking sus. Fucking hell, the sulfur here is so strong. We're it's just getting blown straight in our faces. I can't even look in the direction that all the fog and the particles are coming from because it fucking burns my eyes. So
that felt like a really shit place to be. My eyes were stinging. I started wheezing and coughing, second guessing if I was feeling lightheaded. And these 2 boys just sat down and said, we're not going any further, man. And all of my instinct was saying to me, like, we just need to push a little bit further around the crater and a little bit further up, and we're going to get clean air, and that's where we can chill. But we should not sit in this volcanic gas. Like, this stuff can't be good for you.
I don't know if this is a good place to be chilling. Ugh, gotta keep pushing to the crater and get around the other side of all this sulfur.
And I'm trying to really compel these guys to just push a little bit further.
This ain't the time to dilly-daddle.
And at this point, I mean, maybe at one point it might have been endearing, like, oh, thanks, bro. Like, thanks for the encouragement. Like, yeah, you're right, I've got this. But at that point, it must have just felt like lashes of the whip. They just sat down. They stopped responding to me. And then the one dude turned around after a couple minutes of me, sort of being like, come on, guys, hop back up. He just turned around and said, mate, just go up. Just go. You want to go? Just go. We're going to chill here.
Okay, no problem. Good luck.
And at that point, I had this crisis of abandoning them and also wanting to look after myself and get out of the gases and also get to the summit and not spend too much time up here because the weather was so shit.
Shit. Fuck, I hate to leave the boys, man. Damn, that sucks. But they're not moving anymore. And this fucking sulfur cloud, that shit sucks. I'm trying to get up onto this crater and around the rim, get out the downwind of all these fucking volcanic gases. Damn, the fucking boys.
And I just thought, man, these guys just ain't cut out for this. These dudes just ain't got what it takes, man. You need to have this kind of shit to do this. And I got on this real down.
Time to hit the fucking gas on the son of a bitch.
clenched my teeth and was just like, you gotta be a fucking warrior to do this shit. Like, I'm a warrior. And just like, tensed my muscles and just like marched up that mountain and got to the top and just stormed around and looked at all the stuff. And I was on this real like, grrr, like, yeah, like, kind of attitude. And then I'd done it, and it was time to get back off the mountain because it was freezing up there. And of course I had to go check on the boys. And as I started going back down and I found them, there are the other 3 dudes who I had completely written off as weak and incapable.
The rest of the gang. You!
With big smiles on their faces, coming up the mountain. Hey man, waving at me, hey brother. And then there's these 2 dudes who have been chilling and are now like more rested, and they turn around, they're like, hey man, how was the top? How was the summit? How you doing? And in this confluence, there was just this magic moment of the sun piercing just ever so slightly through the clouds, and the shape of Mount Sundoro just emerging from the fog and the haze in just this majestic vista. And all of these things coming together had me feeling shame, like embarrassment and shame that I had just othered myself from these guys, that I had began to build this narrative that they're just weak and incapable and that they aren't going to do it because they're not strong like me. And so I have to go and do it by myself. Like, I felt so embarrassed and ashamed that I had let that build up inside of myself and mature and evolve kind of unknowingly, because here was the truth of the matter. They just needed to take their time a little bit, Like, I'm conditioned for this. I've been marching up these mountains for weeks now. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they just need to go a little bit slower.
I guess the lore update is that 3 of the boys went back down to get a quick 30-minute power nap and then smashed it the rest of the way back up. And now here we are, united once more. How lovely.
But here they are, supporting each other, going a little bit slower and doing it together. And I just felt like I'd completely abandoned that camaraderie and just like left them for dead. And it was even kind of more highlighted by the fact that they were happy to see me. They weren't like, oh, there's this fucking guy again who's run off on us, or here's old mate who keeps telling us to keep going even though we're just tired. They were like, what's up, man? How you doing? Like, all smiles and cheer. And as I rejoined the 2 and the 3 rejoined, and we had this like reunion of all the boys, it was just all like positive vibes and like, here's the beautiful mountain, like, hell yeah, like, this is great. And they were all refreshed and ready to make the final attack to the summit together as well. And I just felt like, oh man, I felt like I'd really forsaken that sacred union of camaraderie when you do something with the boys, And yeah, it was a really interesting experience to go through all of that and just like catch myself that I had let this thing build in me and run away from myself, and then to catch it and be like, man, chill out, like, slow down a little here, brother. Like, you don't need to be so intense. It doesn't have to be so all or nothing. Like, this is very much a trait of mine, a characteristic of mine that I've had through my entire life. It's innate for me, and it is really a blessing and a curse, this intensity that I build within myself and I build around things. And then having them welcome me back into the fold and us going up to the top of the mountain together, they then produce a little packet of food to share with me that they had brought along for me to eat too. And it just like touched my heart, man. It just really made me feel so like deeply like just this remorse and this gratitude that these guys are so chill and so lovely. And then we sat and eat, and I gotta tell you, the conditions, they improved for a second there, and then they got worse. And at the top of the mountain, it was freezing cold, the wind was ripping, and it was foggy and wet, and by so many accounts miserable, but we were there together.
How we doing, boys? Sedikit dingin, huh?
Sangat dingin.
Sangat dingin. Everyone's got the full-blown shakes up here.
And like, old mate was trying to text on his phone, and his fingers were like shaking and his arms were shaking, and we were all watching him. That's not good. Laughing together, looking at each other, all also shaking, laughing and sharing in this accomplishment and this challenge and this difficulty, this discomfort, like all experiencing it together with, you know, joy and strength. And I felt so honored to be a part of that, and so glad that I had gone back up the mountain with them, and that they had been so welcoming back to me, and that it had all kind of realigned for us to do this and finish this together as we had set out from the start. And it was such a internal whirlwind of an experience, like such violent shifts in my perspective and attitude. Yeah. Good group of dudes, and super grateful that they were on the mountain with me today. That was fucking cool. And then of course at the top it was photo time in front of the sign with all the little plaques and little things you can hold up. And when they started all taking 10 photos each, I was, okay, time to go. See you later, boys. Thanks heaps. Time to get down the mountain because I've got a whole nother mission ahead of me. Yeah, as I waved and walked off and resumed my solo journey, I was so glad for the company and the experience of sharing in it with them. And yeah, that really made it special today. What a good group of dudes they were. Fuck yeah.